welcome.
Good evening. Here we are, Mayor's
Mhm.
Update on the 24th of June.
How has it
Maybe
gone
the
so
hottest
late?
24th of June,
Yeah.
right? It's so hot out. This shirt was blue this morning. No, but Canada Day is coming up before we have another Mayor's Update, or we'll have one that evening,
That evening,
right?
yeah.
But I wanted to have a all things Canada Day show, so we'll talk a little bit about Canada Day.
Mhm.
Grayden and I each have different events we have to
Yeah.
talk about, and different fun things we've been doing this week. It's been quite an exciting week for most of us.
Yeah. It's been busy.
But we have a contest. We haven't had a trivia in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Grayden's got a couple tickets to Brewfest,
That's right. On July 7th.
July 7th at the Railway Museum.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the 7th or the 5th?
Sorry, the 5th. It's the 5th.
Okay, I thought I had the 5th.
Yeah, July 5th.
All right. So 2 tickets to a great event. There's a mechanical bull. There's a bunch of beer, I would assume, and some great acts.
Yes.
Right.
Musical acts. Connor Wilson, he's a local favorite. He's going to be out there.
Yes.
And we've got also Austin Gagne and the Blackstones, which are a higher energy country rock band with a classic edge.
Ooh, classic. So
Yeah.
we get a little classic in with our country rock.
That's right.
I got to go now just to see the music. Right?
It's going to be great. And they've got craft beer, cider, wine and spirits from local and regional Ontario producers. There's line dancing lessons as well, so you can do some more dance practice.
Okay,
with
well,
Stephanie.
I find you can do a couple lines.
Yeah. And there's
that's something else. I didn't say it was a joke. Comedy, folks, comedy.
There's an artisan marketplace featuring handmade goods from local vendors. There's also food trucks and festival eats. And we've got a 50% offer in terms of getting 50% off your ticket.
If
use the code BrewFest50
exclamation mark.
You know what? It's ended.
Oh, it was too late. You had to have done it by Sunday.
Yep.
So we're really sorry you weren't paying attention to what's going on to the community. We should talk a little bit about that too, because there were some events last weekend, and I've been following, and I didn't know that was going on. We mentioned every one of them that got complained about here on Mayor's Update.
We did.
So look, if you're not paying attention to Mayor's Update, you might not know what's going on in your community.
That's right. But here's the thing. You might have missed out on that limited time offer if you didn't put it in, but you can get free tickets if you answer this one
trivia question tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. We just rescued a new dog, and we have talked about it here a couple of times, right? What's the new dog's name? First person who can tell me what my new dog's name is, what Stephanie's new dog's name is, she's done all the rescuing, will win 2 tickets to Brewfest. And if no one gets that right, then the mayor's taking the tickets and going to Brewfest. So, fill your boots.
Yeah, and it's July 5th, and it's going to be a fantastic event.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get out there. That's a Saturday.
Hello, Julian. How are you tonight? Good to have you online already. So that's great to see. Let's talk a little bit about that. There's some, a lot of people last week, I think it was the Knights of Columbus Summerfest.
Yeah.
Right. And I hear it was a fantastic thing. I was away in Toronto with my granddaughter's recital and stuff, but I heard it was fantastic. But if you followed only ST.Thomas happenings, you'd say, holy cow, there's a whole lot of mad people didn't know what was going on in our community and are very frustrated by not knowing. Our tourism department, right, the ST.Thomas does a great job of putting out all of the things that are happening in that next week or 10 days.
Yep.
So please go there if you're looking for it. Grayden and I try to grab that list and at least cover most of it on Mayor's Update. And I know even on the My FM page, they have a number of what's happening this week in ST.Thomas and Elgin. And we don't want to just do ST.Thomas. We want to really cover what's going on in all of Elgin County.
And so Elgin County Tourism has a phenomenal events page as well.
Great. So we should copy ST.Thomas is on Elgin and Elgin's on ST.Thomas, and everybody.
They virtually do. They're so similar, and that goes to the Elmer Community Festival. Their first inaugural one was held on Saturday.
I hear it was a fun time too. Except there was a bit of rain here on Saturday. I didn't see any of that, but
yeah,
great new events this year. Great new things happening. So, so please tell your friends. come on Mayor's Update. We're going to give you most of the information. Oh, somebody's got the
Paris.
Yes, Paris is the name.
Okay.
Barbara Lozon, thank you.
All right, Barbara, message me on Facebook through Established Media, and I will get you the code to get you into the Brewfest.
Excellent. Well, way to go. That's great. I wasn't certain how many times we'd said the name. I know we had talked about Paris.
That was fantastic.
Thank you. So that goes with Ruben and Soleil, our other two Cavaliers, and Paris is a older Cavalier King Charles, and she's having some surgery tomorrow, but we rescued her about 3 weeks ago now, and so great for you. Now the mayor's got to go buy his own damn tickets to Brewfest.
Yeah,
we'll be okay.
Barbara, right. We'll get you tickets. They'll be for yourself and a guest, and then we've got 2 more, and I'm going to put those up
next week.
I think I'm on Established Media this week, so people
get it all
you put them up
right. Okay, yep. Grayden and I were just sitting here talking because next Tuesday night, when we normally do our next Mayor's Update, is also Canada Day, and I'm going to be out at 1 Password Park doing speeches and cake cutting and stuff, and then we're going to rush over. I'm going to, if Grayden isn't there, we're going to rush over to Grayden's studio real quick and do Mayor's Update on Canada Day night, right? And then make it back to 1 Password for fireworks, or not. We don't know, but I will decide then how long Canada Day has been. Right?
Barbara's saying, actually considered a birthday gift for Joe. Does that mean, Barbara, are you saying that you're going to give those tickets to Joe to go to the Brewfest?
We may have to give them away again. It's great. Barbara, thank you very much. It is a neat new event in town, and I want to see it. So I'll take them as a birthday gift for a really old person. I was going to say, how old did Joe turn last week as our trivia, but people would have guessed that because I was sad about it most of the week. So that's Canada Day. Let's talk about Canada Day in Elgin.
Yes.
Many other things going on. Elmer will have fireworks and their event that night, Canada Day night. But the night before, the Monday night, Port Stanley has fireworks and Fingal has fireworks at the Ball Diamond. And they're both great events. If you haven't been to them, they're a lot of fun. Let's talk a little bit more about what's happening in St.Thomas.
Is it the Ball Diamond in Shedden, or is it at 1 Password Park? It is in Fingal?
For Southwold.
For Southwold?
Yeah, okay. It's in Fingal. It's the Fingal Ball Diamond. I'm almost 100% sure. Now you made me doubt it. Right? I think it's Fingal. All right. So here, the schedule of events here in St. Thomas at 1 Password Park are starting at 4 o'clock. The whole day kind of gets started. Right. The splash pad and other things are open all day anyway. So
bouncy castles again.
There will be bouncy castles. There will be a petting zoo starting at 4 o'clock. Phenomenal. Goes till 7 o'clock. Yes, inflatables and games 4 till 8. 4 o'clock. The Kinsman and the Optimist are some of our favorite service clubs in our community. We're both running barbecues at 1 Password Park. Plus, we of course have snacks at 1 Password Park. The snack bar is open all the time, so please let him have a very good day of business too.
I'm sure he will.
Right.
Based on the attendance last year, it was packed.
We've got at 5 o'clock canine demonstration. Those are our police dogs, and they're always fun to watch.
Yeah.
Playground, splash pad, music, face painting, cotton candy, popcorn, treats. Check out the crafters and the vendors alley offering local art, jewelry, baked goods, pet products, home decor, crochet, 3D printing, skincare, furniture, woodworking, clothing and accessories, gift baskets, and Dubai strawberry chocolate cups.
Never heard
Don't
of
know
that.
what it means, but there's the whole day of what's going on. Also at 5 o'clock, musical entertainment by John Mills. Right? Always love, and we can always sing along. 6 o'clock, I mentioned the land acknowledgement and delegate speeches, and then some free ice cream cake courtesy of the Icebox.
Free ice cream cake. Okay.
Right? Free the ice cream. Free the ice cream. No, sorry, it's a protest. Yeah. 6:15, there's a performance by the St. Thomas Police Pipes and Drums. Right? So you've never had a good day till you've heard the pipes. So, for us Scottish. And then dark, or around 10 o'clock, spectacular fireworks display. And the Icebox concessions will be open with soft serve, slushy, and drinks and more the whole day. Right? So come enjoy the playground, the turf field, and cool off in the splash pad. If it stays this hot, you'll want to make sure you bring your Speedo like me, and we can go through the splash pad.
Yeah.
And speaking of using my Speedo, coming up on July 9th is the seniors.
9th. Yes.
The seniors picnic at Pinafore Park. I'm losing my mind. I can't get words out of my mouth. Seniors picnic is on the 9th. The city of St.Thomas is providing free transit to seniors to get to the seniors picnic. It's always a great time, and it's just been keep getting bigger and bigger. And as the weather stays nice, we hope it's not quite as hot as it's been that week, because that's a little hot. Although there's great big trees in Pinafore Park, it's a little tough.
Yep.
And we'll all be there that day too.
Doug Exner saying there's a Strawberry Social and Steve Peters guided walking tour of St. Thomas Cemetery this Wednesday. And Julian saying, where is that?
That's at the old church in St. Thomas. So at the end of that way.
Yeah, just south of Center Street.
On the old Raffle J property.
Called? Yeah.
It's Church Street, I think. So
that
would make sense. I think that's where it is.
Did it? Walnut?
Walnut. It's that neighborhood. Right? Yep. But anyway, what a great thing. A Strawberry Social and a cemetery tour. Right? So if you're tired and you're dead on your feet, never mind. It's I'm doing bad jokes today. Bad jokes. Right. So if anybody's got any other events this week, we're going to talk about some of them. We talked about the seniors picnic. Of course, Nostalgia Night's car show is two Saturdays from now on July 12th. Do not miss coming to, Doug says, at 6:30 for the Strawberry Social and the cemetery tour. Nostalgia Night's car show downtown, all downtown, and a couple of neat events happening in a couple of parkettes with some of our other groups on the 12th. Night markets in the park and bocce tournament is happening on June 28th and August 30th. So might write those dates down. June 28th is this weekend, right? So yeah. So get your bocce balls out. I didn't say anything wrong there. We have the outdoor art experience happening on Wednesdays. So July 9th through August 20th.
Yeah.
Outdoor art experience at Westlake Evans Park, I believe, is where they hold that off. You kind of get an easel and learn how to do art. So I don't know how art feels about it.
Are they always doing it just at one place? Because I think they've done it in the elevated park sometimes. Okay,
maybe it will move around. And the mayor's update, by the time they have the next one, we'll come and tell you about it.
Right. Love it.
Right.
All right. We got the truck and tractor pull coming up this weekend. And that's out in Elmer. I think about 10 to 20,000 people make it out there every weekend.
If it stays this hot, it's going to be hard to pull a tractor.
I think they all have air-conditioned cabs.
The tractor does the pulling.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
No, not the people pulling the tractor anymore.
I don't have to pull a tractor.
They should actually do that as an event, though, with the firefighters and the police and see who can pull a tractor. Right? Yeah, I like that.
Also, we're not done with participation.
Yes, it goes on.
We had a great event out there last Saturday, and many showed up in Pinafore Park. But until the 30th of June, you can continue to record the activities you do in St. Thomas that go towards us being the most active community in the world.
Yes.
I think it's Canada.
The world.
Right. The world.
Go big.
Yeah. Because if it's in Canada, it's better than the rest of the world. So, all right. So please get your activities in. I know the Run Club this week can get another whole week in. So that's great.
Yeah. And then I was just at the charity golf tournament for Caps Off on Sunday, which was phenomenal. It was out at Westminster.
Yes.
It was a beautiful day. A bit hot, but, we survived.
We and Rick and I, the owner of Caps Off, Fran's the owner, Rick's just the employee. I hope they're watching.
I hope they are.
But Rick was the mayor. It was Beat the Mayor Day at Youth for Christ golf tournament. Now, Youth for Christ does a lot for in our community, but they're also our youth shelter for when we need to shelter emergency. So we like to raise money for them each year, and we were on the third hole out at Kettle Creek, and you had to beat the mayor. Now, Rick says he aspires to be the mayor, or so he had a shirt made.
I don't think he has time to be the mayor.
Well, So he probably doesn't. But we both had a great day out there with all of the foursomes and all the money made for Youth for Christ. So it was a great time last week too. So.
And there was a Warden's golf tournament, wasn't there?
Oh yes, that was 2 weeks ago, and I posted something on on Facebook today. Warden Jones finally put out, and they raised a pile of money for the hospice, and it was a fantastic day. But I won the Fighting Contest for another year in a row.
So you got it back again.
Yeah, so the trophy is in the council chambers on display, and we'll bring it back out to the tournament again next year, Warden. So let's see what's going on there.
I love it.
Yes.
Yep. Dale Cummings is asking if he can be mayor for a day.
He asked last week, and I just ignored the question. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't see it last week. Okay. Yeah. The only person who gets to be mayor for the day is when it's Bring Your Child to Work Day.
Oh, okay.
And I usually find somebody else's child because mine are in their 40s now, so it's a little tough for them to be mayor for the day. So, Dale, maybe I'll try and grab you this year, and you can be the
honorary child.
Bring your son to work mayor for the day. It could be a contest we could auction off as a great fundraiser for like Tiny Hope or something.
Yeah.
Right? But we'll get back to you, Dale. I think there's a possibility here. So.
And Julian's asking if he can come on when we do it the Special Olympics, when we finally get a chance to schedule that in. Absolutely.
Yes, you can be our guest that night, Julian.
Great.
I want to thank our fire services.
Yes.
Did you see last night the heat we're having? They're out there doing spraying kids in parks. It was at Kin Park last night. I don't know if they're at more than one park, but at Kin Park last night. And you never saw kids having so much fun.
That's amazing.
And I posted it today on social media, and people were saying, wow, what a neat city. Our city should do it. Our city should do it. Well, how many times do we get told, hey, you didn't do what Cleveland did? We're really happy, right? Really happy that.
Do you hear that a lot about what we did?
Not Cleveland, but I just made that up. Yeah,
I was going to say I've heard a lot about Cleveland. I've never heard.
Yeah, not that way. No. But there was somebody today that said, "Isn't it neat that Toronto is out, or St.Thomas is out there spraying kids with their fire trucks, and Toronto closed their pools?"
Oh yeah.
Right. So anyway, nothing more said about Toronto. Splash pads. Just so you know, during this heat wave, splash pads are open an hour earlier in the morning and an hour or two later at night till 10 p.m. If it's really hot and you've got young children or children that will play in a splash pad, it's great to get them out and cool them off before bed, maybe tire them out before bed too.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about our cooling stations. Where are the city's cooling stations this year?
I think Joe Thornton Center is the most official one. It's the one you should go to if you really need it through a hot day, and it's open till 10 p.m. every night while there's an emergency heat situation like there is now. But of course, our library is open. When the library is open, it's a great place to go. I even like to give the business to the Elgin Center. Right? If Wonder Mall, you at least got window shopping and stuff to do. Sitting in an arena might be a little boring.
And you've got some mini golf. Golf there as well.
Well,
take a little break,
cool yourself off, and play a little mini golf.
I heard there's a new business there as well, Mexican eatery there.
There's a couple in the Mexican eatery. I read their reviews, and it sounds really quite good. The Gino's Pizza, I think, is also opened up in the mall. So there's a few new stores in the mall.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a good idea to go check those out.
Yeah.
All right. And I'd like to say thanks to the EBRC because I was given an award this morning, which feels pretty
I heard
awesome.
about it. I was busy out talking at the Golden K this morning, and so I could not attend that event. But they did tell me that you mostly got the award because you helped host Mayor's Update.
They did mention Mayor's Update, actually.
I heard that it was at least mentioned.
And our Transparency Award.
I added a whole bunch more to that, right?
Yeah.
Way to go. And I was out at the Rotary last night. They gave me an award last night for my community involvement and what council has done for homelessness and stuff. And so I was quite honored and humbled last night.
Congratulations. Yeah. Thank you.
So look, it's an award-winning show.
This is an award-winning show.
Where's the red carpet for our show? We need
one of these days. You imagine if it was I couldn't. That would be too much. Dale Cummings is saying, yes, as you mentioned, the library is also air conditioned.
So it's another one that you could go to for sure. There was somebody. I like wandering. I can wander the aisles of a grocery store. Right? Yeah. They're always nice and cool. And if it's not, then head for the meat section and it's cool down there. Don't lay in with the meat. The mayor did not tell you to do that.
Yeah.
But many businesses are happy to have you. This, of course, was the week the air conditioning went out at Wendy's, but by the
No
time
way,
I was
really?
there today, it was fixed and back on. So we're happy to have you there. So don't
Yeah.
imagine the employees were so pleased with the air conditioning being out.
Yeah, no, I can.
Yeah.
Sean Nichols is saying, isn't Cleveland known as the mistake on the lake?
It is.
Wow.
Well, that was the stadium in Cleveland was called the Mistake on the Lake.
Oh,
Right? Yes.
wow.
But I agree with you. It's generally the whole city.
Yeah. Well, you know, we were talking about roads and development. I was talking about,
Yes.
I had lived in Guelph, and like while I was there, they were working on the roads. Well, I was going up to do some work up just north of Guelph for the Ontario Home Builders, and they're still working on the roads.
Or they're working on the roads again.
Or maybe
there may have been a year or two they didn't work on those roads.
I feel like every time I've gone through there, they're still working on the roads. So.
Well, we should probably talk about Fairview and Talbot.
We should.
Right? Because it's a heck of a construction piece now that First Ave is done and open and really easy to get around.
Yep.
Fairview is now closed, probably into October. It will take them about October to lower that overpass and refix the interchange at Talbot and Fairview Burwell. Right? So mind your P's and Q's and where you're headed, because that road's not open now. We're finishing the extra lanes and the lines on the road and some of the secondary pavement up on the new roundabouts on Highbury.
Yeah.
So some of that's been being done. Bunch more construction happening around town. But I was asked today at the Kiwanis, what have you got planned for next year for construction? And I will tell you, we were quietly whispering to each other at council, can we just kind of take a year where we don't do a big construction project? Is there any road that is that bad that we must do it? Or can we give kind of ST.Thomas a year off with just the MTO building Highway 3 and the big project there, and us not ripping up the city in another spot? So we're going to check and see what...
Interesting. Heard it here first, folks.
Well, I can't promise you none, but I'll promise you that we'll try and do less. It's been a constant summer rebuild every year for the whole time that I've been mayor. So that's almost 7 years now. So, Hey, more questions. Who's got questions about the city of St.Thomas and what's going on here?
We've got a comment. We've talked about it before, getting Rick on from the Railway City Music and Arts Festival. We should do that.
Yes, we should do that. And I have a reason to call somebody. Joe Doherty and I were supposed to reach out to each other. I'll do it tomorrow morning, Joe, if you're watching. I think it's about that topic. So
okay, excellent. That's great. Yep. And then his wife has a project. She's going to send me some pictures. They're doing a special project for babies,
right,
who have passed away, and then producing clothing that they can be swaddled in at the hospital. So they were.
That's neat.
Yeah. So this as a charity event, and they're putting that together. So they started that this Monday. So we'll talk more about that as well.
Okay, great. And if you've got other events that are happening this summer, we know there's many of them, and many of them we've talked about, or some of them we've kind of talking about trying to be within 2 weeks of them now, so we can really give them a bigger push. Right? Please let us know about your events and how we can make them more popular, and people will show up. And they're good fundraisers for many charities.
Yes.
Look, I sat last night and heard how much the Rotary has done in our community. I went to Kiwanis today and learned about all the great things they do in our community. And last night at Rotary, somebody said, we should get all the service clubs together in one room for talk about who does what. So we're firstly not stepping on each other's toes, right?
Yep.
But also sharing the great ideas of what's happened out there. The Discovery Tour at Rotary is on again this year. So if you're looking for, there's a book you have to buy that tells you how to go and what businesses are involved. But find a Rotarian, and they'll be happy to help you with that too. So,
and Doug Exner saying, can we have proper sidewalks on Burwell near Talbot on the north side?
Not yet. No, eventually, of course. That was an industrial road. There's industry on each side, and we're as we move from the Talbot and up Fairview. We will eventually move Burwell, and likely, I would love to say, we're going to go 4 lanes all the way out Burwell too.
Yeah,
which would then give you 4 lanes and sidewalks. So
they've been talking.
You're absolutely right, Doug. We do need to do it. It's not a high pedestrian area, but we're trying to work on can those sidewalks also be trails? Can
Yep.
they be wide enough sidewalks that they can fit as a better trail for off-road, your bike off-road and you walking off-road?
Yeah,
So,
and it's the one thing you guys have talked about in terms of the trail system and getting that north-south corridor going. Because we do have the east-west one, and they're going to put a tunnel in so you can go underneath that road still. So you have that.
We'll have to come back out, but we want to be able to connect that trail somewhere to that new one that we're doing. So we've got to get a trail that goes all the way out to our industrial park and through our current industrial park to Yarmouth Yards. And there's a couple of spots that we're looking at, and don't think we're not talking a lot about adding a number more trails to our community, because it is Wookiee. No, Steve talks about it the most, so I won't take away from any other counselor, but he'll talk to you about trails and art, community artwork. So
yeah, no, it's great stuff, and it's amazing what our community has done so far. And
Joe Thornton. I meant it's written down, and I haven't said it yet. Yep. Thanks, Dale. Joe Thornton inducted into the NHL Hall of Fame today, into the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto today. And look, we couldn't be prouder of Joe Thornton and his connection to St.Thomas, the Joe Thornton Center, and we know the parents in Lyndhurst, but we count that as St. Thomas anyway, don't we? But Jumbo Joe is now in the Hall of Fame. I've always he and I kind of joke sometimes that he's the more famous Joe from St. Thomas, and I went, I'll give you that one.
Yeah. Well, that's
there's some things I can't.
The whole NHL dealio, it's got to be a lot of publicity behind those folks. Steve Peters is saying we need to work on the west end around Old English Church and Jumbo and Elevated Park. I believe he's mentioning trails in terms of.
Oh no, we've got to connect that to the. Yeah, absolutely, Steve. And you and I both know we've had that conversation. And there's so many places we can put little bits, but we got to make sure we're not now, as we do new things, making it not possible to do them ever. And so, perfect thought. We have to connect the elevated park is really along the Trans-Canada Trail, but it's not well connected, and I think we can do a better job of cleaning up the entrance and making it look far more and allow people to get to the old church along trails too. So
yes,
it's a great idea. Perfect.
Yeah,
I'm trying to read. Great to see Steve on.
Well,
thanks for watching tonight. Yeah.
Steve, I met one of your friends over at the golf course. I was doing the photos for Ontario Home Builders. It was John Crookshank. Okay. He said he worked with you, and you were fantastic when he was in municipal politics.
Well, perfect.
Yeah. So shout out for there.
Yeah. Well, Steve made a lot of friends in politics too.
Yes.
And so between the two of us, we have lots of friends that we can call and bother if we're not getting what we want that day. So thank you, Steve.
Absolutely.
I hope you had a little calmer week. It's Tuesday. I hope last week ended up being a little. Steve was doing a lot of work. Right?
Yeah. Steve always does a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, that's why we love him. That's why we have him.
All right. And Dale Cummings is saying we need a statue of Joe Thornton.
Well, I sure we've already named an arena after him. So nothing is impossible. We can do all of these things. As Joe is already in our Hall of Fame inside, and the arena is named after him. But you're right. This is a pretty big honor, right? So
yeah, no, it's huge.
I guess we better bring that up to council.
Steve Peters is saying Johnny's a great guy, even though he was a Tory.
Yeah. Well, there are some fun conservatives, and I count Steve in my fun liberal friends. So, but there are, there's some of us that doesn't matter what uniform you have on.
Well, you said a lot of lovely things about Steve yesterday.
Ah, great, perfect, right? Geez,
Mike Becky was saying bike theft. Talk among yourselves.
I saw that Karen's bright blue bike was missing this morning, and it's too visible of a bike. And if you see somebody riding that light blue bike,
gorgeous.
Yes, you call the constabulary. But here in St. Thomas, if you're outside, you'll call the OPP. Right? So,
Beth B. Croft, thank you, Doug Terry Group, for sponsoring music in Pinafore Park Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Granite Hill Bluegrass.
Oh, excellent. So there's music in the park,
Mhm.
right? So we'll talk about that each week then. We need to get the list of who's there in coming weeks so that we
Yep.
can talk about it at Mayor's Update. Beth, thank you for letting us know. And certainly, I say thank you to Doug Terry just about every day for something else that him or the group has done in our community.
Many things.
So thank you very much. And as you've been watching, if you've been watching this week, a whole lot more happening on Tiny Hope.
It looks amazing out there.
There'll be people moving in very shortly now because we're getting a lot more done.
Well, I've heard that's what they're doing. They're getting that east side completed so they can get people moved in.
So we call that a non-construction zone, and then build the rest. And that's the intent. So thank you to both the YWCA and the Doug Terry Group and everybody else who's helping. So
yeah, well, we're getting to the end of our time here. We're a bit over, but it's been fantastic. It's been a great show.
Great,
love all the participation, everybody.
Yes, this was a fun night. We got all sorts of special events out, so please send us in your special events for next week so we have a bunch more to start with.
Yeah.
And as I said, we're going to do it on the evening of Canada Day. So at 6:30, we'll try and click right on after the speeches and such at 1Password. So mind us if we get stuck a little bit. It might be a little 10 minutes or 15 minutes later than 6:30.
Yep. All right, folks.
Thank you.
See you all next Tuesday. Take care. Have a great week.
I miss you all already.